Díomh agus fáilte chlór Community Focus. Hello and welcome to the Community Focus programme. This programme is sponsored by Eason's of Main Street Cavan and Pearse Street Mullingar. This programme is dedicated to all things community in County Cavan. If you would like to comment on the show or have your community initiative or issue featured, please email drumlinmedia@gmail.com or contact us via our Facebook or our Twitter account. Now, joining me here tonight, I have the Cavan Creative Writers Forum. So 4 people from the Cavan Creative Writers Forum: Andrea, Natasha, Mark and Sinead. You're very welcome here today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
First of all, I suppose, what is the Cavan Creative Writers Forum? What are you about? Natasha, you're going to jump in there.
Well, the Cavan Creative Writers Forum is basically just a collection of writers from the local area who meet up to just to share and discuss their work, you know. And
so it's everyone with an interest in English or in literature and meet up then.
Basically,
once a week, is it? Or
it's 3 times a week, actually.
3 times a week.
It's
very good.
Let's see now. On Monday, it's 7 o'clock in the Moth. On Tuesday night, it's part of the creative writing course in Cavan Institute, which is from 7 to 9. And on Thursday, it's in Blessings from 7 to 9.
All right, very good. So, would people go 3 nights of the week, or just select one of those nights? Or
most people just select one of the nights.
Right. So, or you can pick and choose, can you?
You can pick and choose, or well, for
or if you miss the night.
For the course, you have to sign up though, the one in the institute. So.
You'd have writer's cramp doing 3 nights, wouldn't you? Unless in Blessings, would you enjoy a few drinks as well while you're...
Most people drive,
so
so
right,
it's good boring. Loads of coffee.
Drinking tea.
That eliminates that. Right. I suppose it keeps the mind thinking more clearly. And when was the group set up? Are you established long?
It's been established since October 2011. Myself and Sinead
so it's just last year.
Yeah,
just
over
last
a year
established.
Time last year.
Myself and Sinead would have been 2 of the original members from the creative writing class in Cavan Institute last year, and once that was established, we just continued to meet up even after it was over.
So that's sort of where this group formed, was that you were doing a course in Cavan Institute in creative writing.
Basically, that's the grassroots of it, yeah.
Right, and then you decided, no, you wanted to continue on, or you had an interest. There were so many people with an interest in it.
Yeah.
So you decided to create the Cavan Creative Writers Forum.
Yeah, well, Maria was very good, our tutor. She decided to keep us all on.
Oh, very good.
And then we started meeting during the summer in the library first of all, and then we moved to the Moth. So, yeah, it's been good.
So Maria's tutors you. Maria does the class then 3 nights of the week as well.
Yeah.
Good. It's dedication,
She's
isn't
very
it?
dedicated.
She's very dedicated.
Excellent.
I don't know what we do without her.
Maria has a big interest in literature herself, doesn't she?
Yeah, definitely. She's got BA and an MA in English literature, so, and she's doing a PhD in Irish literature, so at the moment, so she's just rushed off her feet.
Black belt in literature then.
Just basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Brilliant. So it's no wonder she enjoys this. To her probably isn't work, although if you're doing a PhD, for
she's
finding
our
the
English
time.
sensei.
Yeah.
But it's amazing that she does that all on her own accord, just for free.
Because she just has such a passion for it.
Yeah, she's passionate about it. Yeah.
So what kind of writing do you engage in part of the typical evening now that you meet? What would you do?
When we meet up, you know, we'll be expected, if we'll have work done in that week.
Right.
And normally what we'll do is read out the work, sort of go around in a group, and each person, if they've work done, you know, there's no obligation to do work, but if you've it done, they read it out, you sort of get feedback. It's really useful, because if you are writing and maybe you're not too sure of your own skills, or even if you have someone else, you know, at home or whatever, they could be biased, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And there you have, you know, you've honest and good feedback.
It's very enriching.
hugely helpful to anyone who's writing. Recommend to anyone.
Would your family be praising your work, Mark, and then...
Or the good things.
Then we all tear it apart.
Yeah. But it is good to get, particularly from people with an interest in it as well. You know,
people from so many different backgrounds as
constructive
well.
criticism, yeah. Absolutely. What do you do? Is it Poetry, short stories, plays.
Everything.
Everybody
Everything.
does a
Everything.
bit of everything. Like everyone's from such different creative backgrounds. You know, for example, we have people who do poetry, people who do short stories. I myself am working on a novel at the minute, Empire Evolution, and Mark
Really?
here is working on a novel too.
I'm working on a novel at the moment as well.
Wow, very good.
But it's open. Anyone, if you're writing poetry, you're welcome. If you're writing narratives, short stories,
Monologues.
even scripts and dramas, anything at all, as long as it's in English, we're happy to have it.
Or in
Can I just
German.
ask you a bit
Of
in
course.
German, yes,
Yeah, well,
Andrea?
I came to it by painting, actually, because I paint in the mod studios.
Okay.
And then one night
So you're very creative then.
yeah, in a way, yes. And one night I just went to the writing as well, because that was something I did for a long time when I lived back in Germany, and now I do it in English. And it's very good to have everyone's feedback. It's very creative, and in a way it helps me to improve my language skills as well. I enjoy it very much, and mostly when we are together, there's just this atmosphere, mood we get in, and everybody feels that we just belong to something that is really really more for us than just it
There's good
creates
camaraderie in the group, is
Yes.
there? Yeah.
well it's just fantastic. I don't
Yeah,
Yeah.
Belonging.
You're
it's
never
hard
going
to
get,
find
you
the
know,
words, but I think it helps me a lot to feel at home in Cavan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we're not
Good
that
friends.
critical. We're not destructive. We're not
No.
saying that's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad. It's
Support for each other.
it's all constructive criticism. It's not bad, but it could be better.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
And
not.
how it can be
Yeah,
better.
it's not even just that
Yeah.
could be better. It could be better, and it could be better by doing this, taking that out, putting this in. You know, it's great. It's like Andrea said, it's just amazing.
Maybe if I talk to you, I suppose if I go to you individually, if you don't mind, Shane, I might just start with yourself. So your reasons for getting involved, and what type of work that you generally focus on? What's your favourite style of writing?
Well, I always wrote, but not very constructively. And then I just looked up courses in the institute and thought I'd try it out. So it worked well for me, really. I normally write narrative short stories, dabbled in some poetry. Not very good at it. And I've written little one act play and things like
Very
that.
good.
So yeah.
What did you find from doing the course? Maybe had you tried poetry before, or
No.
so this is kind of what the course has inspired you to get involved and encouraged you to get involved in, is actually
Definitely,
into
yeah.
the whole
If you come up with an
poetry and-
idea or take something in, Maria would be very good. She'd direct you into something you might like to read to kind of inspire you further, or give you new ideas and prompts, and you kind of run with that. And then she's great in accepting emails as well. You can email work and she'll send it back with any correction she thinks or any direction it should go. So I just hope to continue with that, really. It's just more of a hobby for me. I'm not trying to write novels like these lot.
But yeah, you're writing a bit of poetry, and the plays
Yeah.
sounds interesting as well.
Yeah. That was just kind of a project in class, one act play. So it was.
Did you ever act out any of the plays that you've put together, or?
No, we were at one stage there was going to be maybe in the Gonzo Theatre there was going to be maybe a one act play night, but it never came to pass. But maybe in future, yeah.
I think Philip Doherty was in Mexico at the time, wasn't he?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Nice.
Maria's still maybe in contact.
The usual
about that.
excuses.
Yeah. But it was a good prompt to actually write, because I never would have thought of writing a play. So I actually had to take a play out, read it, and try and. I took it from one of my short stories that I already had, and then just made it into a play, one act.
I think there's a fly trying to get on TV there on Mark's hair.
Had to be me.
We knew you'd do something, Mark. We didn't think you'd attract a fly over to you. Mark, if I go to you now with your novel.
I started writing, I suppose, about 3 years ago, and it was class essays, and I remember I gave it up to my teacher, and my teacher was like, that's really good, and I was sort of thinking nothing of it. As getting it back, I was expecting, the whole tick and a date and just putting it away in the bag, never to be seen again. But, after she said it was good, that one time, I sort of wrote more, and then I was writing as a hobby. And only in July, the second week in July, my neighbour sent me an email of a link that she had seen on the internet about this group, because she had known that I was writing as a hobby. And, you know, at first I was like, I'm going to go and they're all going to be professional writers and I'm going to be absolutely lost.
How wrong you were.
But I did go. I went, and I remember in my first class, it was in the library, it was the second week in July. I remember going and sitting thinking, well, I'm not coming back next week, because I was absolutely lost. I had no idea what anybody was saying. They were making references to poets and authors that I couldn't even pronounce their names, never mind heard of them. But something made me come back again, and I came back, and I think, I'd like to think anyway, that in the time I've been in the group, my writing has improved hugely. Like, looking back at stuff I've written before I joined the group and comparing the stuff I've written recently, like, it's not even, there's no touch in comparison. Like, it's improved so much. And I owe it all to the group and the feedback I get from them, and especially Maria. She's just excellent, and like Sinead said, sending stuff away in emails and getting the corrections back. Like, she's not like a teacher, she's more like a friend.
Everything for you as well. If you email it to her, she'd give you all of it.
Yeah.
She's just brilliant. I remember now, I can go into a class and, you know, they might name a poet and I'll be like, who's that? But, you know, I get the general gist of what everyone's saying. And as for the novel, it was sort of just an interest of mine in old legends and stories that I decided I wanted to write something about it. And I had started it and I'd gotten to page 40 or 50 or something, and then decided I hated it. And, you know, decided I hated it and got rid of it and started again. And I'm only on page 10 or 12, but even comparing the 12 pages to the 50 pages of before, it's far better. I'd far rather read the 12 pages than the previous 50 pages. And it's all down to the group, and they, you know, pushed me on to keep working at it instead of just saying, well, it's still a little useless, you know. It's great to be able to be motivated like that.
Do you know where you're going with the novel? Do you know where it's going to end? You do.
Yeah,
So
I remember one night I had to read. I read out my whole like thing of the novel, my plot of the novel, for the group, and I wasn't expecting the reaction I got at all.
So you've told them all.
Oh yeah, they all know.
And there's diagrams and pictures. And
yeah, I had to draw maps.
An hour and a half.
I wasted an entire class.
It wasn't wasted.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Very good. So maybe Andrea, you're the one. You might do the illustrations for this book, will you? Do the artist.
If he asks me.
And we're all sorted in the group. So go on, sort it out there.
Self-sufficient.
How much you paying for illustration?
Yeah.
No, that sounds really, really good. So you know where. So it's just. I'm sure now you're not going to write the number of years. So you're hoping this group will continue on and on. You get this support throughout your novel.
It's just a case now of like sitting down and actually doing it.
Yeah.
That's just it.
And this is sort of giving you the structure and the everything to
motivation to push it forward, and you know,
the love probably.
Oh yeah, definitely, and improve the storyline to, you know, places I never thought I was going to go, and to have it as such a huge project for me. And whilst, you know, I'll be doing smaller pieces, mostly narratives and stuff like that, but I've only ever written about 2 or 3 poems. Not exactly my genre, we'll say,
poetry as much,
but you know, short narratives and stuff like that, stories and stuff like that. And I'll be always working on my larger scale project in the background. And definitely all because of the group. I would have given up on it months ago if it wasn't for joining.
Would you think
I owe it all to my neighbour who sent me that link.
That link, yeah, brilliant. Would you think that it's given you more of imagination as well, that it doesn't restrict, it allows you to be more creative of enjoying the group?
It's not even more of an imagination, it's a better way of putting my imagination on words, on paper, you know, making it a reality instead of just, you know, it's easy to think of something and think of something, you know, great and innovative and, you know, really interesting, but it's committing it to paper that is absolutely impossible, you know, constricting and concising it down into such a small number of words, or making it into an actual storyline. And it's that sort of drawn back approach to writing and sort of relaxing, you know, it's a relaxing thing to do now, thanks to the way it's been approached by the people in the group and Maria.
Brilliant. Natasha, come to you now. You're also writing a novel.
I am. I started it about 2 years ago now. I'm just in the very last stages of it now, I think. Just making sure the whole story just clicks in together now.
Very
Just
good.
tying up all the loose ends. So
You
hopefully
sort of
that'll be
started
done.
on the novel around the same time or just before you started the course? Did you have the creative writing course?
It was about a year before I started the creative writers course.
All right.
The idea just came to me one day. I didn't even intend on trying to write a book. I just wrote it down, and I was just like, I was just writing it down for fun actually. And then suddenly more and more came out, and I just thought, why not make a book? So
Brilliant. Because a
almost
lot of
finished that
people,
now.
it's their dream to write a book, and they always say, oh, one day I'd like to write a book, that we're all supposed to have a book in us. But very, very few actually get to realise that dream.
Yeah,
So-
I know a lot of people who have started writing books or who say, oh, I'll have to write a book someday. But I think if you go in with that attitude, it's very, very difficult to do it. The story has to come to you. You can't
Naturally.
go to the story, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So can you tell us anything about the story, or what your inspiration was, or is it fiction? Is it?
It's a fictional book. It's a fictional story, yeah. It's sort of young adult thriller. The original inspiration actually came from, Chernobyl, the city Pripyat. It actually came from a photograph of a Ferris wheel inside that. I just thought that was such an inspirational image, the fact of something so innocent inside this whole city of entire destruction. It was just so inspirational, and that's where a lot of the narrative actually came from.
The photograph.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Just the one image, yeah.
So likewise, you're finding that the group, being part of the group, is really helping structure.
Oh, it's
your novel
a
and-
huge help. Like the story was all over the place before I started, but thanks to Marie and like the feedback of everyone in the group has contributed something towards it. Just the structure is almost solid now, just because of Maria and the group, and just everybody has chipped in their 2 cents, and it's been a huge help along the way.
Has Maria written a book herself?
She's writing
She's
pieces
helping
at the minute. I know that.
Yeah,
But
she's writing thesis.
She read us one of her poems once. Do you remember that, Sinead? It was great. Freshwater Drowning. I can't remember it exactly off by heart now, but it was just. I remember it was so powerful.
She wrote it as an example
Yeah.
of poetry writing, I think, and within 15 minutes on our lunch hour. And it was brilliant.
Yeah.
We rarely get to see the gems of her work. She's sort
She
of,
tends to not
you know,
know.
She
let-
shies away from.
lets us all read our own and then hides in the corner with her little golden nuggets.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Andrea, I'll just go to you as well now, and just kind of your reasons for getting involved. I know you said that you got involved really because you were involved with the art, doing the art in the moth, and
Yeah.
decided to get involved in it. But what are you particularly interested in the group? Is it poetry or?
Actually, I'm the one who goes to all 3 groups. So
Do you? That's
Yeah.
dedication.
So she's the one.
because before I painted, I was writing, and I wrote poetry, and I stopped that for a while, and then since I encountered the group, I just got this inspiration and motivation again.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised myself, but now I intend also to write a book. It's more like a little memoir with little episodes from my life together with pictures. Sometimes I paint a picture and then I write an episode to it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a very liberating way of expressing myself. So
When you used to write before, Andrea, was it in German or
Yes.
it was in German?
well, it was in German and in English, because
Alright.
English was always for me a language I liked, and I learned it for several years at school. But I also started to read books in English and even to write poems in English. I found some old poems, and I'm just in the process of redrafting them, because I find since I joined the group I am getting better in language and in poetry,
So you're looking back and critically analysing everything
but,
you've done.
this little book I want to write, I
You
just
were
feel
going to write a book
driven to write it
Mhm.
in a way. And I also feel, I have to say now, I'm glad to be part of the booklet we make together. This Drumlin House.
Yeah.
We want to bring out soon with poetry and little short stories and narratives in it.
This is the book that you're
Yes.
launching in
Together.
December, yeah.
Yes. Mm.
So I suppose we're going to quickly go to an ad break, just to give you a break for a few minutes, because we're going to ask you to read out a little bit of poetry. I know that each of you have a small piece to read out when we come back. Can we just tell us a little bit quickly, maybe Sinead, about the book and when it's going to be launched?
Yeah, it's called Drumlin Hearts, and it's a collection of everyone's work, short stories and poetry, and some illustrations as well from the group. And then it's going to be launched hopefully in December. I think the 7th of December.
The 7th, yeah.
Yeah. And we're hoping to have a launch night in chapter 1, where there'll be some poetry reading, some readings from it as well. So we look forward to that.
It's going to retail at $3.99 in all the local outlets, and and all proceeds go to the CSPCA. So any
The Cavan Society of Prevention of Cruelty to Animals.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
that's
actually
right,
had
yeah.
them on the show as well. They're doing tremendous work.
Yeah, they are.
We'll go quickly to a short ad break and we'll come back then for some poetry, some culture.
Pat Short here. You're watching Cavan TV.
I'm Gavin Duffy, and I'm saying watch cavantv.com. It's a great opportunity to see some great programs, and you can watch it all around the globe via the internet and on many platforms. I watch it myself. Great stuff.
Welcome back. And now we're going to have some more of Cavan's culture to experience. Andrea, we'll start with you, if you don't mind, and you're going to read a poem. Just tell us a small little bit about the poem that you're going to read. Is it your own work or?
Yeah. Well, I live here in Cavan Town in Swellen, and we have a stone garden, and there come a lot of birds. And I used to sit in the kitchen in the morning and with my breakfast, and then I look at the birds. And also we have a pen where we have quails, and it's very nice to see how they communicate. Like when a robin comes and peeks into the quails and what the quails are doing. So from that I got the idea for this poem I want to read now.
Brilliant, thank you.
It's called Birds in My Head. They come in our stone garden. Greenfinches, coal tits, chaffinches, a song thrush now and then. The sparrows in flocks, and the scavengers in black unbidden, as the cheeky magpie descend. The feeder swinging on a rope, while dwarfish claws clasp, with jabbing pale or saffron beaks, hungry and fluttering. But in my head I always expect to see a robin, his orange-red chest like a beacon. Sometimes he is real, pecking at scraps of leftover morning porridge thrown out as a lure. One time I saw him peering in the pen of our quails, who have names, and were gawking back without fear. Birds in my head are like robins, wearing a promise on their flaming chest.
Brilliant. Natasha, I'll come to you now.
Okay, Sacravia. Autumn's kaleidoscope refracts a vision, ablaze with amber and ruby eruptions. A leafy sunset salutes the emerald backdrop. The fiery carpet licks the forest floor as death's blood-soaked banners flutter in glory on the flagpole above life's white surrender.
And did you write that yourself?
I wrote that
Yeah.
myself, yeah.
And what was the inspiration?
The inspiration was, it was the autumn trees. It was the autumn trees in my back garden. I just looked at it one day and I just thought, wow, that actually really looks like a sunset. All the reds and yellows and orange, and it's sort of against the green. It just looked like they looked like a backdrop, basically, I thought. And the inspiration came from the thought that the battle between autumn and winter is very like the battle between life and death. Autumn is just basically nature trying to cling on to the last little bits of life that it has left, and winter is just death basically taking over all nature's foliage. And that's where the blood-soaked banners are like the red leaves.
Brilliant. Well done. And Mark?
Um,
What are you, the poem, is it Autumn that you're reading?
no, it's Alice.
Alice.
Alone she sat in her cell over-padded, all because Alice has spoken to rabbits. She sits in the corner, rocking unnerved, her body now rigid, where once it was curved. A fan of the mind, its infinite curls, she delves in too far, her nightmare unfurls. A world of oblivion, a world all alone, a world set in ice and a world frozen stone. The sound of ticking clocks, an ominous surround, spirals her head, her thoughts now unbound. Her mind is broken, her body is frail, her eyes empty sockets, her existence gone stale. Fixated on Carol, his world her escape, where things bear no meaning, no logic, no shape. To hear her mutter, her terrible fate, afraid of her life, for she cannot be late. No family has Alice, nor family she need. Carol's book taken from her, no, never to read. She now looks around, and yet does not see who suffers such sadness, who suffers but she. She closes her eyes, the magic appears. She opens her eyes, pursued by her fears. Forever she'll stay there, the rest of her days, her passion gone too far, forever she pays. So still Alice sits, her cell over-padded, running in her mind to escape the white rabbit.
Brilliant. I'm not even going to have time to go into what that's all about and go into the whole background to it, unfortunately, because we're running out of time. And Sinead, I know you've got a poem as well, but we do have to talk about the book, which is important, and about the launch of that. And I know you want to thank your sponsors as well for being involved in that, because we've only got a minute left. So if we just talk about...
actually, we just wanted to say a big thank you to the sponsors. The Mott Studios and Blessings Bar for the facilities they let us, and Blessings Bar especially for their generous donations, as well as Wagtails and Francis MacDonald Engineering Limited. And a big shout out as well to Precious Pets, Cavan's leading pet carers.
That sounds like you should be doing an ad there.
I know, right? I was going to do the whole wink and thumbs up.
I was actually expecting you to do that.
I decided not to, give the camera the eyes or something.
So how can people find out more about Cavan Creative Writers Forum? How can people get involved? Can anyone join at any point?
All new members are welcome. We have a Facebook page as well.
It's free to join, isn't it?
It's free to join, yeah.
Brilliant.
Just come.
Yeah. It's
For
non-profit.
Facebook, you look up the page. It's pages now, not people. Cavan Creative Writers Forum.
Come
So
to the Mott on
Lots
Mondays
of
or
Mondays.
to
Or
Blessings
Blessings
Bar
on Thursdays. And that
7 to
starts
9.
at 7.
9. Great. Looks like you're doing absolutely brilliant work. So anyone out there with an interest in
Please
English
welcome.
or drama or poetry, go along and check you out on your Facebook page and come along to any of the meetings. Listen, guys, thanks a million for coming in today. And that ends the show for tonight. And have a good week, and we'll see you again next week.